Hi everyone, it's Vicki, aka Cruiserella, and welcome to my channel. So today I am going to talk about the things that I do in preparation for going on a cruise. Obviously these will vary by person, but I'm just going to tell you the things that I do. I may need to break this up into 2 videos because I have a really long list and I'm distracted because there is a green lizard on the window and normally they are brown. So it's exciting to see a green lizard because they're just so rare. But anyway, back to the point. Well, I'm going to take you off subject one more time. Yes, I am working on editing my Alaska videos. I know I've got some people who are anxious to see them. I just made the mistake of using 2 cameras and 2 phones, so now I have 4 things I have to get together and try to figure out the timing. Where was this photo? So I am in the editing process. It's just a nightmare and I'll never do it that way again. In fact, I keep a different memory card in every camera, and I think I might just have to start taking it out and moving it when I change cameras, because I have a regular camera, I have a waterproof camera, we have our phones. Yeah, so anyway, enough of that. Let's get started with the list. These are in no particular order. They're just the steps that are involved in us going on a cruise. Well, one is check-in. And I'm not talking about check-in at the port. I'm talking about checking in online. Pre-COVID, you could do that, but now it's, I think, you can do much more, or you can do more. You can do your health questionnaire. You can, show your COVID vaccine if that's a requirement. You can scan your passport. You can take a photo of yourself for the biometrics and just for the ID. Yeah, so check-in is a big part. You'll save yourself a lot of time at the port if you do that. Plus, I think there's less chance of forgetting something, like something you might need for check-in. They're still going to look at your ID and stuff when you're there, but yeah, I think it's a good idea, and that is something that we do before going to the port. We also, part of that is it'll give you your what do they call them? Well, I just call them docs. That's what they call them, I guess, because that's the type of file that it is. It's a document file. But anyway, it has, your itinerary. It has all your information, who you call if you had trouble in port. It has your, I think I already said itinerary. It has everything. It's just your whole, it's like a cruise contract is what I'm going to call it. And along with that, you usually get your luggage tags that you'll print out and put on your luggage. They're made to where if you fold them according to directions, then you can staple the 2 ends around the handle of your luggage. We have, if you look at my purchases video, I forgot what it's called, things I purchased for a cruise or something. Anyway, you'll see that we use a specific kind of luggage tag holder, and I like that a lot. It's got a wire string, I don't know, a wire rope that that's threaded so you can undo it and do it, and then the tag actually goes in a plastic sleeve so it doesn't get ripped off your luggage, because I've had that happen. Then personally, well, it's not just me. I started to say just me, but really anybody, I guess, including Jer. The personal care things you want to do. Like, I usually get a manicure. And normally in, everyday life, I don't really get manicures. In fact, if there's a long time between cruises, I just cut my fingernails way down. They grow so fast. But I usually get a manicure so that I don't have to worry about taking clippers or anything in case something breaks, because I'll get the shellac and it won't break. And manicure, pedicure, all of that, because you're going to be showing your feet a lot. Waxing if you want to do that, and like Jared gets a haircut usually before we go. So we clean up. We do personal care and clean up. I also try to do a packing list. Now, the last 2 cruises, I did not do a packing list. And that kind of failed on me for Alaska. I could have packed a little better, I think. And then the trip previous to that was just on the Carnival Paradise. And that worked out fine, I think, good enough. It's a short cruise out of Tampa, only a couple stops. So it wasn't as big a deal. But yeah, I do much better if I do a list. Then I get, shoes that match an outfit. I get the right, then I'm going by the number of days and what we're doing on those days. I can think, okay, so this day I'm going to need just a casual outfit and then a dinner outfit, that sort of thing. So I like having to pack from a list. I have been much more successful at that than going without one. Another thing I like to do is find out what you can and can't bring on board. Not that that's a big deal that I'm trying to do that, but I just like to be aware of what you can and can't bring on board. And some ships, we have brought soda or water, and you can do that, I believe, on the ship we're going on. I haven't read it yet, but I've been on Royal Caribbean before, and I believe that you can carry it on in your carry-on, but it can't be in your luggage, in your checked luggage. And I believe that water, well, I don't know if that's true for Royal, but at some of the cruise lines have changed to where if you're bringing water, it can't be in the plastic bottles. It has to be in a can, because people are sneaking in vodka, for goodness sakes, or gin, or whatever's clear liquid. But anyway, so I do like to find out what can be brought in. If sometimes we have a beverage package or a whole bunch of onboard credit, and so I don't even bother with it. But if I don't, like buying a really super cheap cruise, then yeah, that's good to know what you can breathe and can't breathe. I also like to, now I do this well before the cruise usually, but sometimes later. But one of the things I like to do before going on a cruise is shop the excursions and the specialty dining and the beverage packages and see what's available. Usually the best prices before you get on the ship, in my experience. Now, someone else may say, no, that's not true, but it seems to be like there's a pre-booking savings kind of thing. So I like to do that. And then that way you can also, I don't know, just sort of, I don't know how to say this exactly, but I can kind of compare on, there's a timeline like thing in some cruise lines. So you can kind of compare what you're doing, what days, to see, gee, we have a lot of activity here. We really should make this day more of a rest day or an easy day, because we got these two jam-packed ones here. In Alaska, we wore ourselves out on excursions. So not as much in the Caribbean, but it's still something to consider. If you're going to go hiking and kayaking 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row, or you're going to be in the beach 2 or 3 days, that might be a lot of sun, those kinds of things. So I like to just shop the excursions and see how it all fits together. I also always make sure that my travel insurance is in place. Some cruise lines like Holland, I can see that in my documentation, but like with Royal Caribbean, I couldn't see it. So I called about something else, and then I said, by the way, do you show me as having the insurance? And she's like, yes. It just seems like on their website, it doesn't give you any of that kind of stuff. So anyway, she said, I can send you, and I also said, what was my total cost? Because I couldn't find anything with that. And it's probably got deleted from my email or something when I first booked the cruise. But the cruise is a rebook of a rebook. The first cruise was canceled due to the pandemic, and then so we rebooked, and then another one got canceled. And it wasn't because of, semi-related to the pandemic. It's just that they hadn't brought back the ship yet, or had decided not to bring that one back at that point. So in all of that, and using future cruise credits, I sort of lost track of how much that cruise cost, and I just couldn't seem to locate it. So to make a very long story short, she said, I can send you a copy of your invoice, and it'll also show your insurance. So that's good. Yeah, I used to not get the insurance, but since COVID, I've had a change of heart, because if I had to be medevac from somewhere, or going to, receive medical treatment, that sort of thing. I have received medical treatment on a ship one time when I fell, and they gave me a shot for pain and yada yada. Anyway, it was like $210 to be, seen by the doctor and get a shot, and I don't remember if he gave me some pills or not, but anyway, so that'll cover all of that kind of stuff. If you get the insurance, well, I shouldn't say it will cover all that. Read yours. It depends on what you get. And some cruise lines have more than one type of policy available, one that has a little, more that it'll cover and some less. But I like it mostly for cancellation because, like with when I've had to cancel a Holland cruise, you're still going to pay, but you get 90% of it, or I got 90% of it back, even though I canceled, pretty close to the date. So then we also, and I don't know if everybody has to do this, probably not if you live in a condo, but we have to line up house, pet, plant sitters, people to water plants. We have to figure out what to do with dogs, someone to be at the house, watch the house, that sort of thing. So that's another expense, the whole pet thing, and I talked about that in my hidden costs of a cruise video. But yeah, you got to take care of the homestead, when you're gone. So, and related to that, we always make sure that we get our security cameras all fully charged so that we don't have to worry about them running out of charge while we're gone. And that way we can, see who's coming and going. It'll alert us on our phone every time someone passes one of the cameras, whether they're the inside camera or outside camera. Then we know what's going on at the house. Another thing we like to do, and we don't always do it at least 100%, but we like to leave our house relatively clean and tidy so that you don't come home to a big mess. And when we come home, sometimes we just want to throw the suitcases down, hop in the bed, and take a nap, because you get up kind of early on the last day usually, and you've had to pack the night before. And for some reason, we always come home just, maybe it's our own bed kind of thing too, but we just seem to want to just take a nap and relax. I don't want to have to, that day or the next day do a lot of housekeeping. I like to, you know what I mean. I don't know. I'm sure there's other people who do that. Then we have to, another thing I like to do is make sure that my family, friends, and my trusted neighbors know our itinerary, or at least the day that we're leaving and when we're coming back. They don't, have to know every single stop we're going on, but I like them to know what ship we're on and kind of in general where it's going, so if anything were to happen to that ship, be on the news or something, they would know, or if they needed to get a hold of us, they would have an idea of where we are, and at least knowing what cruise line it is, I'm sure that there's an emergency number for friends and family to call if there's, some reason you have to come home. And I've known that to happen to somebody who was on vacation. I'm trying to think if they were on a cruise or not, but their house caught on fire while they were gone. And so it was the neighbors who were able to tell the authorities, who were able to contact them to say, this has happened. It's sad, very sad thing to happen, but sometimes stuff happens, so you just got to be prepared. We also have to make a decision on, but we make plans on transportation and parking. Depends on where we're going. If we're going to Tampa, we can take an Uber because we live in the Tampa Bay area. If we are, and it's just cheaper to take an Uber than it is to park. It might be about the same actually, but it's less hassle, that's for sure. Now I think it's a little bit, they just raised the parking in the Port of Tampa just a little bit, but if we're going to Orlando, Port Canaveral, they call it Orlando. It is not Orlando. It's an hour away, actually, because Orlando is not on the coast. Orlando is, in the middle of the state, basically, more toward the East Coast. But anyway, if we're going there or Fort Lauderdale, then we're going to drive and we're going to park. So we want to, figure that out, because some have on-site parking, some have off-site parking, which is usually a little cheaper, but it might be more of a hassle. It might not. I watched other people's videos to figure it out, because it seems like some of these ports, I'm going to say it's Miami. I'm not sure. I've never gone on a cruise out of Miami, but one of the ports I saw, or maybe, I don't know. But anyway, one of them, it seemed like it was easier to go off-site and be dropped off and picked up by their shuttle service than it was to try to navigate that port. So anyway, that's something that you have to decide how you're going to get there and where you're going to park your car when you get there, if you're driving. If you are in an airplane, then that's different. And when last time, our last cruise, obviously we flew because it was Alaska, and we just bought the transfers through the cruise company, through Holland America. And going there, basically what they gave us was, once we got there, they just gave us a voucher. We just got in a cab, gave the cab driver the voucher. On the way back, though, when we got off the cruise ship, they had buses for us who took us to the airport, because there were a lot of us leaving, obviously, at the same time when we got off the ship. We're coming in, people trickled in, like we didn't, all through the day. So that's how they did it. And another part of that, if you're going to park at the port, is to get directions to the port. I guess you could kind of, like, if you were in Florida, just head toward Fort Lauderdale and then watch for the cruise signs that will eventually show up. But I'm telling you, it's better to know exactly, because in that example, there's some lanes that change for high volume. There's more than one way to get there, or if you miss it, you just need to kind of know how to get there. I'm just more comfortable doing that. And so I usually just pull directions up on my phone. Back in the day, we'd print them out from MapQuest, but now I just do it on the phone. And it isn't always exactly like the signs you see on the road, or sometimes you can't see a sign, or by the time you see a sign that has the cruise or airport symbol on it, you are not, having to pet Minnie, you're too far away to get over into that lane. So, you've missed it, basically, sometimes. So I think I'm going to stop right there and make a part 2 to this video, because this has been about 15 minutes. So I don't want to make a 30-minute video. All right, so I'll see you for part 2, okay?